Good afternoon. I'm your host, Jimmy Kim, and you're watching the greatest show on the planet, The Jimmy Kim Show. To the audience out there, thank you so much for tuning in. Today on this Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, I have the special privilege of interviewing Sergeant Major James Cabarrus. He is the Recruiting Station Houston Senior Enlisted Advisor. And Sergeant Major is actually the highest enlisted rank in the Marine Corps. And today he's going to share with you his incredible story that he's been through to get to where he's at now, as well as his wisdom for success. And we'll discuss many other interesting topics. So, Sergeant Major Cabarrus, take the mic. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Jimmy, first and foremost, man, thank you for having me on today and giving me this opportunity to be on your show. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to sharing with all the viewers and listeners out there. I'm excited. Today's a special day. MLK Day is definitely, notable. Something that we set aside a day to recognize the accomplishments and the dreams of one man. So looking forward to it, brother.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get started with, since it is Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, let's talk about first what kind of meaning does that have to you in your life, Martin Luther King Day? And then I'll share with you mine as well.
Gotcha. For me, when I think of Martin Luther King, I see a man who was all about the fair and equitable treatment of all persons, regardless of their race, their color, their gender. So to know and understand that someone had a dream so big, regardless of what was going on in America, during that time, he was able to think bigger and broader and look outside of that. And so as I drive around the great city of Houston and serve in the Marine Corps, it feels good to see facets and pieces of his dream come to fruition.
Absolutely.
So that's what it means to me.
Yeah, and you had the opportunity to advance to where you are in the military because of his actions. Because even the military, it used to be segregated, right, James?
Absolutely, yeah. It used to be segregated. There was a point in time where black Marines would serve go to recruit training at Moffett Point up in North Carolina. So to go from that back in those days to where we are now, I think that Dr. King's dream is still living on, and we're making strides towards becoming the nation that he wants us to be. He wanted us to be.
So you're saying that they used to separate black and white Marines for training as well?
Yep.
Okay. So it's completely segregated.
Completely segregated.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, and that was only a few decades ago. Essentially,
it wasn't that long ago. So definitely some strides made there.
Right, and now everything is pretty much based on merit and performance and your ability to execute.
All performance based.
To rise up.
That's it.
Right?
You
I like that.
Or you don't. Yeah.
Sergeant Major Cabarrus, I love that because, they don't look at your skin color.
Yeah.
They don't. You perform, you get promoted. If not, that's too bad.
That's the way it should be, right?
Yeah. And essentially, even the outside world, it's like that. Like in business.
Yeah.
The person that performs the best will win, and the person that doesn't, they're not going to win.
Yeah, bring your A game every single day.
Yeah. All right, next topic, James. Let's go ahead and give us a general overview of your background, and then afterwards we're going to more specifics at certain topics as well. Okay. So general background of where you're from.
So originally from Columbus, Georgia. Joined the Marine Corps in July of 2000. And I shipped off to recruit training at a Marine Corps depot, Parris Island. Spent 3 months down there being trained as a basically trained Marine. And when joining, I chose the MOS, which is military occupational specialty. Our word for job, essentially. I wanted to be in the infantry. I wanted to be an infantryman. I chose that path because I've always enjoyed the outdoors, being outside, and I am someone that loves a challenge. And I felt like that would challenge me physically. Mentally, the entire gamut. So that's what I did. My first unit was in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, with 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines. So I spent 3 years up there, did a deployment to Okinawa, and then also deployed to Iraq with 1-2 is what we called it. So from there, I went down to Parris Island, became a marksmanship instructor, which is where now the young Marines that were coming to recruit training, going to boot camp, I would teach them the fundamentals of marksmanship. After that, I scooted over to the beautiful tropic scenes of Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
With 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines back in the infantry. Did 2 more deployments to Iraq with those guys. Then it was recruiting duty. I went back home to Georgia, Columbus, Georgia, became a canvassing recruiter, did some time as a station boss, which is what we call a staff NCOIC, the person that's in charge of a station. Then it was back to North Carolina for some more time in the infantry, and had a lot of different experiences in the Marine Corps. Had the chance to serve with a lot of great people and a lot of great leaders, and they pretty much made me who I am today. I've always been surrounded by a great team.
Right, and that's very important.
That's hugely important. If I had to attribute any success that I've obtained in the Marine Corps, it wouldn't be based on just my merits alone. It would be the fact that I've been surrounded by great people. I've had great mentors who've imparted wisdom into me, and then in turn, tried to pass that on throughout my career.
Right. And they're on their A game 24/7.
Always.
There's no other option.
No
right?
other option. Hey, Marines, we wake up and we bring it every single day.
Yeah.
It's the only way to be.
Very nice. So, and you were a veteran of the Iraq War, is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, and you were on the front lines?
I was.
Yeah,
Yep.
combat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Front lines in combat all 3 times that I went.
Yeah. Okay. If you feel comfortable sharing with us, are there? First, actually, let's go with some of the best moments, highlights of all that you said. I know it's a tremendous amount, probably for each each segment there, but I know we're not going to be able to talk about everything on a 1-hour show. But if you can, first, let's talk about some of your best moments in the Marine Corps, and then after, some of the difficult moments that you had to deal with.
Okay. I would say, and it's significant that my best moment was actually around this time 13 years ago. Today, my youngest son, my oldest son, James, actually turns 13 years old. So it's
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
How
you.
many sons?
2 sons, James and Josiah. Yeah. So my best moment was my last deployment to Iraq with 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines. When I was in Iraq, James was actually born while I was over there serving. And so when I got back, he was 2 months old. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. I hadn't been there in 6 months on this deployment. I get home. Now, when I left home, my wife was pregnant. And up to this point, I wasn't a dad. I didn't have any children. And so I get out the plane, and I'm walking down those long steps, and I look out, and I immediately can see my wife. And so I'm kind of walking over, and I'm looking, and I'm like, man, like that's a small human in her hands. And so I walk over, and I grab my son for the first time. And, I was expecting just this moment of joy, and I don't know why. He was a baby, right? He was 2 months old. I'm thinking he would be laughing, Dad's here. No, he screamed his head off. Like, who is this strange man holding me? He's screaming and crying. But I remember that because of the joy I felt after that deployment, being able to hold my son for the first time. And, he's the one that made me a dad. So of all 21 years, I would say that is probably the most enjoyable moment that I remember.
Right, because you probably had some moments where you didn't know if you were going to
Yeah,
make
absolutely.
it back.
And then that,
because you were on the front lines.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
On that deployment in particular, there was some close calls. We had some KIAs, some Marines that were killed in action, and just the uncertainty of combat. You just never know how things are going to turn out. You train and you prepare and you hope for the best, but at the end of the day, you just don't know. The fear of the unknown, I guess it is. So to be able to come back and see and meet my son, that was probably one of the best times of my life.
Right, and I'm glad you made it back here.
Yeah.
And now we get to have this conversation, share your story, as well as wisdom for, provide mentorship to the audience that's listening in on how they can be successful if they would like to pursue a career in the military or the Marines specifically.
Yep.
Now, do you want to tell us about, if you feel comfortable, a difficult moment you had and how you overcame that throughout that course of your long career?
So definitely different, a lot of difficult moments in the Marine Corps, whether we're talking about combat or training or
even
whatever
boot camp.
the case is,
Right.
even boot camp. One in particular, I remember we were in Iraq and there was a sandstorm going on. And I mean, this sandstorm kind of halted us in place. It was so bad. You could barely see your hand in front of your face. It was so bad outside.
And where was this?
This was in Iraq, around the city of Nasiriyah.
I've never been in a sandstorm, but
yeah.
it's that bad? You can't even see, like...
It is that bad. Like,
Oh,
hand
my
in front of
goodness.
your face, you can barely see.
So it locks up all the weapons, too.
Yeah, you got to keep your weapon clean because it'll easily jam up.
Right.
And it was bad. It was to the point where we were told to kind of halt in place. We could not continue the convoy towards the next city. The sandstorm was so bad. And we didn't have the ability to have air on station. So any of our helicopters that would perform a CASEVAC, which is basically coming in and picking up injured Marines and soldiers and taking them out. So we were kind of halted in place. And I mean, it was just the worst of times, like people are trying to shoot at, people are trying to kill you all day, you're getting shot at, and now this sandstorm.
Oh my goodness.
But what I really remember about this situation is just the humor of how Marines dealt with it. So we're all sitting there, and I think it was my buddy Minix. I can't remember who exactly it was, but he started to laugh, kind of chuckle a little bit. And everybody's looking over like, man, what is so funny right now?
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing funny about this situation. But his laughter did something to the rest of the guys on the team. Everybody started laughing. And before we know it, we all just kind of laughing hysterically at probably one of the worst moments
of your life,
of our lives. And it's like, that humor was enlightening. It was decompressing for everyone that was there during that time. And that's something that I'll never forget, that through all of that adversity, that tribulation, those trials that we were going through at the time, Marines were still able to find a way to put a smile on their face, and eventually the sandstorm passed and we continue to do God's work.
Yeah, right. That story reminds me of something I would hear like that happened in Stalingrad.
Okay.
Except they were dealing with the winter.
Yes.
The winter cold.
Mm-hmm.
But you're dealing with the sandstorm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's...
Yep.
Yeah, wow, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that story. Yeah,
No
because I know
problem.
it could be difficult for you to go backwards because it was probably so much difficulty there for you and your team there while you were there. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. Next, so what was originally the reason you decided to join the Marine Corps when you said you were 18?
I was 18 years old.
That's like a kid, right?
Yeah,
Nowadays?
right. Just a little baby, singing like
That is
yesterday.
a baby, yeah. I remember when I was 18. Yeah.
So I knew that I would always want a career in the military. I was a kid that would run around the house with G.I. Joes, and I wanted to be Rambo.
Toy guns.
Every year for Halloween, toy guns. So I knew it would always be some branch of the military, but I wasn't sure which one. And so the recruiters came to my school, like always. We had the Army come, the Navy, all branches would come. And up until this point, I had never met a Marine in person. I heard about them, but not a whole lot. Where I'm from in Columbus, Georgia, is an Army town. And so with predominantly Army guys, like that's what I saw. I was like, I'll join the Army, go be a Ranger, hit their infantry program, see what's going on. But I saw a Marine Corps recruiter one day in a uniform, exactly what I'm wearing right now, in a school. And
It's really nice.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jimmy. And I walked past this recruiter, and the recruiter's, he said, good morning to me. And I looked at the recruiter, and I said, I'm not interested. He said, I didn't offer you anything. I just said good morning. I'm like, I'm still not interested. And then he said, well, you probably couldn't make it anyway. And being an arrogant little 18-year-old, I kind of looked at him, and I'm like,
yeah, what's wrong with that guy?
I'm James Cabarrus. Like, I absolutely can make it. So he's like, well, I'll tell you what, James, why don't you come to one of our PT sessions? And I was like, say less, I'm there. And so he invited me that Saturday to PT. And I came, and it felt like I got my heart popped. I mean, it was push-ups and flutter kicks and running and jumping, a bunch of screaming. And I absolutely fell in love with that challenge. And I felt like, man, this is going to challenge me physically. It's going to challenge me mentally.
Right.
And I believe that challenges bring out the best in us. So it's like, I was sold from that day on.
Were you already did you play sports in high school? Were you already in good shape?
I did. So I think I was
okay.
that
Helped you a lot. Because if you were not,
you
probably been scared off.
Nope, no thanks.
Yeah.
And it reminded me a lot of sports. So the Marine Corps,
right? Yeah, it's a good transition.
With the challenge, overcoming adversity, teamwork, cohesion, all those things that we fall in love with on any sports team. I found that in the Marine Corps. Yeah. So it's like I was able to keep living that life of an athlete. So
right. Except in the Marines you get to shoot guns. Right?
Yeah,
sports you don't do that. You throw a ball.
Well, yeah, that's it, right? So sports, the fourth quarter ends, the game is over.
Right.
In the Marine Corps, the game is continuous.
Oh, forever. Yeah. What's it? Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Always
right?
a Marine.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you were in what? Football, basketball?
I played football in high school, and I ran track.
Okay, so you did quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you were in very good shape because the average a student that didn't do those activities, they would have a hard time in military PT.
They would have a hard time in military PT.
Yeah, in any branch.
Any branch, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And Marine's the hardest one.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have the hardest PT test. So somebody that would consider, to the audience, somebody that would consider joining the Marines or specifically, Marines, what does a path look like to get to Sergeant Major if they want to pursue something like that, like straight out of high school?
Straight out of high school, the path to Sergeant Major. I would say certain characteristics, right? One, you just need to come hungry. If you come hungry, we're going to train you to do everything else. We are absolute the best in the business at taking average people and turning them into extraordinary humans. And it comes through just, basic fundamentals and principles that we pride ourselves on as Marines. We hold ourselves accountable. We're punctual. We believe in honor. We believe in integrity. All that kind of goes into the recipe of making a Marine. So all a person needs to bring really
the heart.
Is the
That's
heart.
what it sounds like.
The heart. Yeah. If they come with the heart,
Yeah.
we can train them on everything else. That's all they need. They need heart.
And you take care of it from there.
We take care of it from there.
Okay, very nice. And it is the best Marine Corps in the world, right? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
strongest.
The strongest.
All right, so I know you have a lot of ribbons and decorations there, James, but if you want to say one that has the most significance to you personally, which one would that be? We don't have to go over all of them because you got a lot there. One that means the most to you.
The most to me?
Yeah.
I've been asked this question before, and most people would think that it's the combat decorations and the deployments.
Right.
But it's actually not. So one of them is for outstanding volunteer service. I'm a huge advocate for volunteerism. I believe that the world truly is a better place when we give of ourselves, our time, our energy, and we give that to others. So I would say my greatest accomplishment is actually really while being a Marine, being able to offer my service and my talents volunteering. Because when we do that, I'm able to help somebody else and pull them up in life. And I think that should be a goal that we all strive for. To not get so far ahead or climb a ladder so high that we forget those behind us. The ability to look back and bring others with you can be accomplished through volunteer work. So,
right, very interesting. Yeah. So that would be volunteer work out in the community. Is that correct?
Out in the community. Yeah.
Okay.
Because when we think
you've been everywhere.
Yeah, been everywhere. When we think about, and I mean, the Marine Corps, like even in combat, right? Most people would think that combat is only what you see on TV, running and gunning and violence. And while that's certainly a part of it, I also remember helping to build schools in Iraq to help restore communities, and then doing
that's part of your duty.
Part of our duty,
okay.
Right?
Yeah,
so kind of full service, and then doing the same back here in hometown USA. Just volunteering, whether it's coaching youth sports, painting a school, helping out in the hospital. I believe that's the true essence and the character of who Marines are. We have a saying where we say we want to be a warrior and a gentleman. And I think that's the overall goal, to when it's time to be a warrior and do it well. And when it's time to be a gentleman and do it well.
Yeah, I like that too. I feel like society would be a lot better if people abided by those two things. Yeah. Okay, we already went over, and I was going to discuss with you a war story that you feel comfortable sharing with. Mm-hmm. I know you had told us about one that was the most difficult one, but is there something you would like to share there that you feel comfortable with talking about? Yeah.
I remember one in particular. We were going through. It was during the invasion, and we were going
in
through
Iraq.
In Iraq.
Okay.
It was 2003. A city called Al-Naziriyah, and we were taking machine gun fire from this big blue building, and it was like no other building on this block was blue, but for whatever reason, this building was painted bright blue. And I remember us being kind of pinned down, my squad and my company at the time. And I mean, they had machine guns, seemed like coming out of every single window.
Oh my goodness!
And kind of put us in a suppressed position.
Right.
And so we had to call upon our machine gunners. They came up, they laid down some suppressive fire, which for those not familiar with the military, is basically our machine gunners came up and started firing back at the building. We ended up gaining fire superiority, meaning we deliver an overwhelming amount of fire. And that allowed us to advance from the building and then neutralize the threat with inside the building. So that's something that I'll never forget because of the experience, the moment, and just that big blue building kind of stuck out to me.
Right. So there are pretty much bullets flying everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah, left and right.
You can hear them whizzing.
It's like right past your face, probably
Yep.
too. Wow, that's incredible. Well, glad you made it out of that too.
Amen.
And your comrades made it out too
Yep.
as well?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, glad to hear that. Now let's go to local. So what is the current state of the Houston Marine Corps in general, and then the recruiting station, and how is that set up?
Okay. So I'll start off by saying that Recruiting Station Houston for last year, we go by fiscal years in the Marine Corps, was the #1 recruiting station in the Marine Corps. Yeah.
In the whole country?
The whole country.
Wow, I got to give you a handshake for that.
It's not me, though.
Wow.
It's not me.
Well, I'm sure you're contributing.
We have the most talented and hardest working Marines that I've ever come in contact with. And recruiters work hard day in and day out, and they are relentless in their approach, 7 days a week, because they're not just trying to find anybody. It's a selective process. We're looking for a certain type of young man and young woman to come and join us, right? So, with that, we finished #1 last year, and we're looking to, Super Bowl champs. Repeat the same again this year.
I hope y'all do.
Yeah.
Hometown heroes.
Yeah, for real. So the way it's comprised and the way the organizational kind of flow chart works is we have a main hub downtown, which is the RS headquarters. In that hub, we have our career recruiters, which we call 8412s. That's their MOS. Their job is to be recruiters for the rest of their career. We have my commanding officer, Major Boston,
yes.
Myself, and then a team of really proficient support Marines. And we support the RSSs, recruiting substations. And Houston is the largest recruiting station in the Marine Corps. We have 15 recruiting substations in and around the greater Houston area. And we're everywhere. We're in Pearland, we're in Beaumont, Conroe, Spring, Willowbrook.
All the good spots. You got it.
All the good spots. Right?
They're sprouting up like McDonald's on every block.
So their job is to go out and find talent. That's their job. And they're looking at community colleges. They're looking in high schools. They're looking in job fairs. And we assess the mental aptitude using the ASVAB test. We assess their physical abilities with the physical fitness test. And if they meet the qualifications, we give them the opportunity to join.
Right. They have to have the combination.
Yep, gotta have the combination.
The mental and the physical.
The mental and the
if
physical.
they lack one, it's going to be very difficult, right?
It's going to be very difficult. Now, we have a program called the DEP, Delayed Entry Program. And what we do is, let's say they join, and they go downtown, they swear in, do their oath of enlistment. If they aren't where they need to be physically, we do work with them. So we like to really recruit them in high school. So now we have their entire senior year to work with them, get them physically ready, get them in shape, get them mentally ready. And then post-high school graduation, now we send them to Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, for recruit training. And the whole goal there is to make training day one ready recruits. So when they go there, they're kind of already familiar with what the Marine Corps is and
culture.
Some of our physical, the culture. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's very good. I wasn't aware that y'all were doing that. Mm-hmm. Do you have any involvement with local Marine Corps ROTC? So for the audience that doesn't know what that is, it's Reserve Officer Training Corps. Mm-hmm. So, and they have it in high schools around the greater Houston area and obviously college. Are y'all active with those groups too? I figure you are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we have a great working relationship with all branches, Marine Corps ROTC, Navy ROTC, Army ROTC. Right. And we like to go into those classes and do class talks. We also try to help out when they have drill competitions and meets. Sometimes the recruiters will go out and help grade their uniform inspections and drill meets. So that connecting file of having a working relationship with those guys is really important to the success of the recruiting station.
Oh, okay. So you do quite a bit of outreach, and you've spoken to those groups quite a bit.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like. Okay.
We have.
Excellent. Yeah, those are great programs.
Oh, absolutely.
Our ROTC is it's such a good deal because you get your degree and your commission at the same time.
You can't beat it if you go do it in college.
You can't beat that. Yeah.
And even high school, at the ROTC in high school, many people think that, well, if my son or daughter joins ROTC, they have to join the military. It's like
there's no commitment.
No commitment at all.
Right.
They're just learning to be great Americans and great citizens in that ROTC program. And we like to recruit from that because we're looking for great Americans, great citizens, and good people. So.
Right, right. Obviously, it's better. It's best if they do end up joining, but that's sometimes not. That's not the case
Not the
because
case
life
in all
sometimes
times.
takes a turn, or
Absolutely.
maybe they decide it's not really something they want to do for the rest of their lives.
Correct.
But as I said, those programs are just so great because they get both of those things in one path. Because usually college kids, they're doing one or the other,
One or the
or a young person that's doing one or the other. They enlist or they're getting their degree. But ROTC, you get both.
Get both.
It's a
if you go to
marriage.
college. Yeah. I mean, we even have a scholarship. We have an ROTC scholarship that
Right.
I'm sending to school for free.
Right.
And it's funny you say that because I've enjoyed that part of the Marine Corps. You know, free college while I'm in, and still getting the other side, and fulfilling
military.
my need of the military,
Right.
and wanting the challenge. So it's like, personally for me, I think it's the best deal in the world.
I don't think there's anything better. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of stuff out there. And James, I know you have too.
Yeah.
You've been around the world. But yeah, that's a really good deal. Yeah, I'm just gonna put that out there because we do have listeners of all age ranges, and yeah, definitely a great path. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So what is the current state? I know we were talking about local Marine Corps and then the recruiting station, but what is the current state of the Marine Corps as a whole as you see it?
As a whole, the Marine
Yeah,
Corps.
and what about the future as well? What is the future? Yeah, so current and future of the
Current and
Marine Corps.
future.
Yeah, as a whole unit.
Some of the big initiatives from the Marine Corps as a whole, at least one of the big initiatives right now is talent management. We're trying to retain as much talent as we can because the civilian community and civilian sector, they offer jobs and they're competitive. So what's happening is we're recruiting these awesome young men and women, and they're coming in and they're giving us 4 years of their lives, serving their country as United States Marines. Well, we want to make sure that we maintain, grow, and kind of nurture that talent so they stay in the Marine Corps past 4 years, 20 years, 24 years, 30 years, whatever the case is. So that's our big thing right now is
retention.
Retention.
Yeah, keep them.
Retain that talent because that's just going to make the Marine Corps an even better and more elite organization. So I think that's where we're headed in the future. We have all kind of programs and initiatives. Some of it is like our professional military education. We're huge on that in the Marine Corps because to maintain and grow talent, you have to continue to challenge those individuals.
Right.
And then you have to educate them. And we see training and education as two different things. So we want to train them, we want to educate them. And if they do decide to get out and take their talents back to the civilian world, we want to make sure we're returning a better product back to the civilian community than we receive. And if you think about it, right, that overturn of getting people in, training them, educating them, and then if they get out, returning them back to society, that should make America as a whole a better place.
I agree.
So,
yeah, more productive citizenry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because they get that training that they don't get in the civilian world necessarily. Okay. And how is the recent changes, rapid changes in technology affecting the military? Just like an umbrella view. You don't have to go into intricate details because I know there's some top secret stuff there too.
It's quick and it's fast,
Right.
and the Marines we have to be
They gotta
adaptive.
adapt. Yeah.
We have to be adaptive. So that means that even someone like myself as a sergeant major, I can't be set in my ways or this is the way we've always done it, or this is the system that we've always used. That's why I really believe, and I'm a huge advocate for adopting the mindset of being what I call an eternal student, always willing to grow, always willing to learn, because as technology comes in at the pace that it's moving, it's increasing our lethalness on the battlefield, right? So we're becoming more lethal every single day on the battlefield because of technology. And our young Marines, they're used to this technology. And so we're bringing them in, and as an organization, we're all getting smarter, we're all getting stronger, we're all getting faster.
Right, and we're actually using it right now with this technology, the radio station plus social media, to help spread the word of the Marine Corps, and to help promote your recruiting, so you can increase your numbers. So it all is kind of boils down to that, leveraging the technology to improve and get better. Yeah. But we're grateful to be able to use it in that way. That's why I have you here.
I love it. Yeah,
I'm supporting you. All right. In a nutshell, there's probably lots of requirements to join the Marine Corps and standards. But if you could share with some of the big points on the enlistment side and the officer side, because I know you're very familiar with both. Just some general requirements. You don't have to mention everything.
General requirements, I would say overall good health between 17 and 28 years old, high school diploma or GED. You have to pass what's called the ASVAB test, which is going to test your ability to perform certain actions and what you're good at. Yep, that intellect piece. And being at least decent physical shape. You know, if you're lacking in that area, we definitely, like I mentioned earlier, have a program to address that need. And just having the heart, you know, the heart and the compassion to want to serve. That's what we're looking for. As far as criminal records, there is a waiver process.
Okay.
But we do try to find people with no criminal background. Not saying that folks can't recover or rebound, but primarily the folks that we recruit don't have a criminal background. We recently had a change in tattoo policy, so tattoos are cool. You know, if you got tattoos, as long as they're not gang related or affiliated, you're off of your hands and your face and your neck. For the Marine Corps, you're probably going to be okay to join with those tattoos. So
very interesting. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, because before that was a big no-no.
Yeah, it used to be a big no-no. We had a more stringent policy, but the commandant has decided that, hey, you know what, we should open this up. So that's where we're at now.
Okay, so you're looking for clean record, and then it certainly helps them to be in physical shape, good physical shape.
Yes.
But even if they're not, y'all going to get them there, right? But it makes it harder for that recruit.
It does make it harder. They have more of a
it's a steeper climb.
Challenge.
Yeah. Versus if you're already here, you just go up. Versus starting from down here, just completely overweight, out of shape.
Yep.
Okay. And how do y'all coordinate with other branches locally? Because we have a lot of military personnel here in the greater Houston area from all branches. And do y'all do a lot of joint, like, coordinated efforts in regards to recruiting or other activities? Or do y'all operate independently?
It's mostly independently. I mean, because for recruiting purposes, like, that's our competition.
You're kind of competing.
Oh, yeah, that's our competition.
Right.
You know, the Army, Navy, and Air Force, they're also looking for the best and brightest that Houston has to offer, which is a lot. You know, this is a amazingly talented city with some amazing young men and women, So with that, we don't really collaborate with any efforts on the recruiting side. We do come together for certain events, whether it's like a Veterans Day event, maybe someone is asking for a color guard, and so we may do a joint service color guard and things like that. But as far as recruiting specific, not really. What I will say, though, is that we have a good working relationship. So most recruiting offices, you're not likely to find a standalone Marine Corps office or a standalone Army office. They're all side by side, right? So it's like when young men and women come up, a lot of times they're just shopping around. It's like, well, I'm going to visit the Army and then the Navy and then the Air Force and then the Marine Corps, and then I'm going to make my decision. So
you got to pull them into the Marines, right?
Got to pull them in like, come on in, come on. I got some challenge for you.
No, even if I know any kids that want to join, I'm sending them over straight to you.
Much appreciated.
So be ready.
Yeah.
So another big thing right now is the transition, because I know you plan on doing that here in the near future because you've been over 20 years. What does the transition from military life to civilian look like, and what are your thoughts about that? Yeah.
So I have a lot of mentors who have already made that transition. So I'm constantly picking their brain, what can you tell me? How do I prepare myself? And what I've noticed is that a lot of soft skills that we have as Marines are absolutely transferable into the civilian sector. I think the hardest part is trying to quantify those skills. Like, how do I actually quantify leadership on a resume, or the ability to build a team, or work through problems, or conflict mitigation? I think that's our hardest part, is trying to get civilians to understand that we speak a different language in the military, but when we break down, what that language is actually really, really similar to what they're looking for. There's tons of great programs and initiatives, though, that help us out. One of the requirements before leaving the military, and this is for all branches, is something called TRS. It's the Transitional Readiness Seminar. And during this, they go through resume building, interviewing, LinkedIn. It's a whole list of resources also that you now have access to. There are a lot of programs to help veterans transition from the military and from the Marine Corps specifically. And because we say once a Marine, always a Marine, one of the best things to do is link up with former Marines that have made that transition, and pick those guys' brain, use them as mentors. So.
Okay, but as you said, the resources are there,
They
need to
yes.
seek those out
They
because
gotta-
nothing's just going to be handed to them.
Nothing is going to just, resources are not going to just fall
They'll
out
just
of
give
the
it to you.
sky
Yeah.
into your lap, right? But that's a mindset that we're accustomed to as Marines. Like,
Oh, right, yeah. You're
I'm
used
going to
it.
get it. I want to be successful. I'm not going to let anything stop me. So I need to reach out and close with on those resources that are going to make me successful. And then in turn, reach back and let Marines that are transitioning behind me, let them know what they should be doing, whether it's education, whatever it is, to allow them a successful and smooth transition.
Right, yeah. I like that go-getter mentality. I think actually every person I interview on my show is a go-getter.
Yeah.
Because I'm a go-getter.
Yeah,
So we
absolutely.
understand
Yeah, man.
each other.
Speaking the same language.
Yeah.
No doubt.
The people that aren't, it's just that it's a different kind of mindset.
It really is.
Yeah,
It really is.
Even how I met you. I went out there and shook your hand. I was like, hey, my name's Jimmy Kim. It was at a military ceremony.
It was.
So I get out there and it's meeting people. But I was out there it was a 9/11 commemoration ceremony.
It was.
Yeah, because I actually care. I have passion for that as a civilian as well.
Yes.
But at the same time, the benefit is meeting extraordinary people when you go to that event, like yourself, Major Boston, and all the other dignitaries that were there. Because there were several military officers there. Yeah, tremendous group.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Oh, it was a great time.
To honor the sacrifice of so many.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Usually when there's some big military ceremony in town, you'll see me there. Yeah. Because I saw you at City Hall too.
Yeah. Oh, there go Jimmy again.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's out of passion because we need to show that recognition that these people deserve for the sacrifices that they make.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not recognized as much as I think it should be in society. As one day of Veterans Day, I don't think it's enough. Yeah. Every day is Veterans Day, right?
Yeah.
One day out of 365 days a year, come on. And you're dodging bullets through sandstorms? Like, really? So what is the next chapter of life for Sergeant Major Cabarrus after the military? Yeah, you discussed with me a little bit about your plans. If you feel comfortable sharing that,
absolutely. Yeah. No,
what do you want to do after with all the skill, all the training you have, the skills, and everything you've been through?
So one of my passions is to start a nonprofit. I am a huge outdoor person. I love hunting. I love fishing, camping. I just love being outside in general. And I was introduced to that lifestyle as a young boy back in Georgia by my grandfather. He's the one that got me my first fishing pole, and we would fish and hunt all the time. What I noticed was that gave me a coping mechanism. It gave me something constructive to do besides sit around and find ways to get in trouble. So if I had to attribute one thing, in my youth that kept me out of trouble, it would be that I had something else to do. And when I look at a city the size of Houston, what I would love to do is to link up with young men and women that are at risk or just not don't have the ability to get outside the way I did growing up. And the nonprofit would surround taking those young men and women and taking them out to a farm or out to the country and giving them a chance to see that there are other things to do in life, kind of a coping mechanism or an anti-drug. So that's one initiative that I definitely want to pursue post-military. And I'm always fascinated about public service, public good. So even though I'm not 100% sure what I'll do next, what I do know is that it's going to involve helping somebody else.
Okay, so mentorship. That's what it sounds like.
Mentorship,
It sounds like you want to do a lot of that.
I want to do
it sounds like you're very passionate about it too.
I am.
Okay.
I see that as very fulfilling.
Okay.
When God decides that my time on this earth is done, I want them to know James as somebody that was always willing to reach back and help and do whatever he could to see everybody else be great.
Yeah, the world would be a better place than where you left it, right?
Yes.
That's what it sounds like.
That's
Yeah,
the goal.
that's fantastic. Yeah, I'm on the same page once again. Great minds think alike,
Yeah,
right?
they do.
Because somebody that doesn't think like that, it's hard to share that kind of like plan.
It really is. It won't
understand.
It won't make
They're
sense.
like, what do
to
you want to do?
Won't make
Like,
sense.
really?
So, yeah.
Or you might get shot down.
Yeah.
I'm just like, hey, yeah, do it. How can I help you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why we're here
Yeah.
right now. We're on live radio in one of the biggest cities in the country. Let's also discuss, since you did talk about you want to bring some of those kids out of that environment and atmosphere that they're in, and sometimes they get trapped there. They don't see anything else. They get stuck in that neighborhood where they grew up, and it's not necessarily the best environment to be cultivated for success, because maybe they don't have the right mentors, and they just, unfortunately, they stay stuck there. So it sounds like you want to change that environment for them and just kind of pull some kids out, but they have to want to do it at the same time, right?
You're correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely
So
correct.
what would you say, how important is that environment that you're surrounding yourself in, like on a daily basis?
I think environment and atmosphere
And people.
and
Yeah.
people.
How important is that?
It's absolutely huge.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's hard to, especially for younger people, it's hard for them to imagine themselves outside of a situation that they're currently in.
Right.
So if I'm in a group or a setting or an environment where I see the same things every single day, regardless of what it is, and if I see negativity and bad decisions being made over and over again, I'm a lot more likely to make those bad decisions.
Right.
I mean, data proves it. I read something that said kids that have parents with college degrees are 10 times more likely to earn a college degree themselves. So I think environment is absolutely huge. I think it's important, and you can never discount of how important it is. And so if we have a chance to take someone and show them a different world, hopefully they'll remember that, and they'll kind of make steps and take steps and gravitate towards that. But environment is huge.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that.
It's absolutely huge.
And military is a good option for those kids.
It is.
To just completely get out of that comfort zone, meet entirely new people, new
get to
places,
travel,
Right.
See somebody else's way of doing things.
Yes.
A different culture. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in Korea. I lived in South Korea for a year. Been to.
You said you had kimchi.
Yeah, I loved it.
Love
man.
kimchi.
Absolutely loved it.
It's spicy though.
Yeah,
It was okay.
yeah, it is.
You were okay with the
Good for the
spiciness?
sinuses, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I am.
That's why you're so healthy. It's actually one of the healthiest foods in the world. Did you
Yes,
know that?
I did. I did.
It's
yeah.
fermented cabbage with a lot of good stuff in it. I love kimchi myself.
And that's why people, a lot of South Koreans, they live to be like 1,000 years old. It's like,
I hope I do.
yeah,
James,
right.
I hope
so yeah, Jimmy, getting out and, with the Marine Corps giving me a chance to explore different communities, not only in the U.S., but even abroad as well, it's really given me a greater appreciation, and it's opened up my perspective on just how big the world is. That's hard for me to see if I've never left the same neighborhood that I grew up in. Like, my perspective, it can't be what it is right now unless I'm exposed to that. And so the Marine Corps exposes young men and women to that. And one thing I really love about the Marine Corps is it's kind of a melting pot, right? And so maybe everyone that I grew up with looks like me, talks like me, walks like me, thinks like me.
Right.
When I joined the Marine Corps, it is a melting pot of different kinds of people from all over the country. And you learn a lot about yourself and your ability to adapt and be personable and get along with others during that whole process. So all life skills that are definitely beneficial.
Right. So all colors, all
colors,
ethnicities, all religions, all political affiliations,
everything.
Every type of personality.
It's there. It is there.
Yeah, I bet you've seen a lot of that. And you gotta get along.
Got to.
Or you get killed.
Because the mission depends on it.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
us
that's
being
incredible.
Able to be a cohesive team, the mission depends on that.
Right.
And so we really have to set aside all
the differences. Yeah. No time for
Set
that.
them aside. No time for
because you have to execute.
Right then and right
or
now.
everybody's gonna get killed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very incredible. Yeah, sometimes people won't get that exposure if they're always hanging out with people they're comfortable with.
Exactly.
Because I do that out here in the real world. James, I get around. So
Get around.
always hanging out with people outside of people that look like me or that talk like me,
It allows you to
or
grow.
other things.
Allows you to
It
grow,
does, and it's incredible.
I read something the other day. It was talking about one of the most dangerous things for a company is groupthink. And so when a company doesn't have diversity or equity or inclusion, and everybody's the same, it's hard to get diversity of thought. And when you don't have that, you get groupthink. Everybody's nodding and shaking yes. Well, the problem with that is it is then hard to bring in any kind of innovation into that company because everybody thinks alike.
Right.
But when you bring in different kinds of people, you combat that groupthink mentality, and now the company grows, they get more revenue. So I've certainly seen the benefits of having different folks from different parts of the country with different beliefs all come together for a common goal.
Yeah, I can have said it better, actually. Yeah, you need people to call you out or call other people out when they're wrong.
Yep.
And that might be hard in a situation where you're maybe with a commissioned officer that's a higher rank, but you got to call them out if something's wrong.
Yeah.
If the mission depends on it,
You got to call a spade a spade.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah. That's very interesting. All right, as we get closer to wrapping up here, James, is there anything else that you wanted to discuss about just your journey, your life, or Marine Corps? Yeah.
I would say it's been a fascinating ride.
Yeah.
Like it really, really has.
Yeah. And you're only 40?
40 years old.
You're very young.
And the time has flown by just like that. It really has whipped by. It does not seem like I've been doing this 21. This summer will be 22 years in the Marine Corps. I'm truly grateful, man, for everything that this organization has allowed me to become. Everything that all the benefits that this organization has given me. I'll say that the Marine Corps, as an organization, has given me more than I could ever repay it back. So as I take my downhill journey now towards retirement, right, I have more, I like to say that I have more yesterdays in the Marine Corps than I do tomorrows. So my goal now is just to try to mentor and mold as many Marines as possible, and just continue to tell and preach the gospel of the Corps, that we're an organization that is all about building people up, offering people challenge, overcoming adversity. These are all things that we hold as near and dear to our heart as Marines. So it's been good.
Yeah, that future project you have in mind, I may be interested in actually helping you with that.
Okay.
Because it sounds like fun. Yeah.
I mean, it excites me.
Yeah.
It really does.
Because I noticed for some weird reason when I talk to kids, they actually listen to me, and they don't even listen to their own parents. You know what I mean? But I have this special, I guess, superhero power. So I got to put it to use.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they listen to you too.
If you're talking and they're listening, like you're essentially planting seeds, and
absolutely.
For some of us, it's our job to plant. Some of us, it's our job to water. Some of us, it's our job to put sunlight on that. And that's why I believe in the concept of it takes a village. We all have different parts in that process, but if everybody does their part and contributes, those little trees are going to grow up to be big trees, which big trees that are out in the community doing good things, spreading positivity, and just making the community a better place.
Yes, absolutely. So to anybody out there that's listening on radio, watching on social media, how can they get in touch with your department if there's somebody that wants to join? What's the best way to do that?
I would say the best way is good old-fashioned Google. So get into that search engine and type in USMC near me or Marine Corps Recruiting Station near me, and you're going to have about 15 stations pop up. And depending on where you live at, if you joined, you would be assigned a certain station. Find that station, give them a call, and Marines will answer that call. They'll get in contact with you. They're going to go over some basic screening questions to make sure that you qualify, and let's start that journey.
Nice. Okay. So they pretty much just show up.
Show up.
Okay.
Show up.
Nice. All right. So
all
remember,
we're required to bring is heart. If you bring heart, we'll bring everything else. But you got to bring heart, effort, and determination.
Yeah.
Everything else, we'll train you.
Love it. Love it. So if they like what they hear from you, they can even seek out yourself. Right?
Yes,
Sergeant Major Cabarrus.
They can.
Yeah, They can go talk to you. Because I
talk
know
to
a lot of the audience, they probably like a lot of the things you said today. And they're like, hey, he's my guy. I want to talk to him.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Good. All right. The last thing, I always do this, Sergeant Major Cabarrus, is 3 tips for success in the Marine Corps. To be successful.
To be successful, 3 tips.
To be in the Marine Corps.
To be in the Marine Corps.
Yeah,
I would
your
say
top 3.
Top 3?
Yeah.
I would say, 1, hold yourself accountable, right? If you're in the Marines, there's a certain set of standards and rules that we live by. Be honest with yourself. Hold yourself accountable if you ever feel like you're falling short of those rules, right? So I would say accountability is absolutely huge. The second thing that I would say is to always be, especially if you're in a leadership position, always be available, right? Young Marines that are coming in behind you, they need you. They need your leadership. They need your guidance. They need your mentorship. So always be available. You know, we're Marines 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There is no off day, you know, until you hang up the uniform. So be accountable, be available. And the last thing I'll say, Jimmy, is if I had to give Marines, you know, a tip for success is never stop. That's it. As simple as it sounds, never stop. Adversity will absolutely come. If anybody ever tells you that, you know, they're going to live a life free of adversity, run, because it's a complete lie. All right, life will punch you in the face sometimes, and that's going to happen. Adversity is going to come, and it's how you deal with that adversity when it does come, which will set you apart from everybody else. You know, it's easy to kind of get knocked down by life and stay there. That's the easy solution. But what I'll encourage you to do is to dust yourself off, get back up, and keep fighting, keep attacking. Like, life is a journey. Like, don't focus solely on the destination, but enjoy the journey, enjoy overcoming adversity. And what happens is you're gonna create a culture within yourself of winning and overcoming adversity, and now it becomes familiar. And then you'll welcome challenge.
All right, that does it for today. Sergeant Major Cabarrus, salute. Thanks for coming on the show, especially on this Martin Luther King holiday. You're even here. You're here working.
Yeah.
So then when you said availability, you're right. You practice what you preach for sure.
Get it.
And to the audience, thank you so much for watching the show today. We'll be back next week, 12 to 1. Have a fantastic holiday. Enjoy it. Bye.